It has to be the first of my career. 57 wins, it's got to be the first fuel mileage win.
The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media.
Hey guys, welcome to Actions Detrimental post-Michigan International Speedway from that state up north. You like that, Trav?
I like you correcting Letarte there at the end.
What did he say?
Well, because he said, he's worried about those fans, and then you said, no, it's either the school up north or the state up north.
Yeah. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Am I doing that correctly?
Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
ESPN SportsCenter said that you're a long-time devout Ohio State fan. I was like, this guy's been an Ohio State
I've
fan
convinced
for
everyone.
2 weeks.
I've done it. I'm Denny Hamlin. I was driver of the Yahoo Toyota Camry from this past weekend. Winner. Love getting dubs. We need to have our winning cars out here. We don't have the trophy, Trav, because the team gets to have it for a couple days. They take pictures. So it goes back to the shop. It gives the opportunity for the employees to take pictures with it, and then I come snatch it away and put it in there. But it would be good to have it. Like, just say, hey, we'll get it to you Monday morning, right?
The problem is it's on the hauler. They got to
get
get it back.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But not really. No. I could take it home on the plane.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. My co-host is Jared. Hi, Jared. Hey, were you conflicted at the end of that race on who you wanted to win? Me or
That's
Byron?
just life right now, Well, you asked me on the way home who I thought the 5 best drivers in the series are right now, and 3 of the 5 are.
Give me your list.
Is you, Byron.
Give me your elite top 5 right now.
Rank them.
The top tier, the 5 guys on the top tier, I think is you.
So he's just trying to generally put them in a group. Okay, go ahead.
Byron, Larson, Blaney.
Agree.
Who was my last one?
I don't know. It's your list.
I know.
Oh, Christopher Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree. Those are the guys that are consistently up front most weeks. Like the 12 is never out to lunch. Like, he never has, Joey had a tough day yesterday. Was way back there in the high 20s. Like, you never really see that out of the 12. Same with the 24. You really don't see it. The 5, you don't see it. The 20 has had, it seemed like the bigger tracks actually has been not as good for the 20 this year. But again, you don't just see them running in the 20s, which that's why I agree that list is probably correct.
It seems like those guys are consistently towards the front, and you can bet on them probably bringing a race-winning car more often than not every week.
Yeah, and if you look at the stats too, it's the guys that are getting stage points. There's a group of us that have a lot more stage points than everyone else, and that just is because you run up front.
Yeah, Christopher Bell's only finished outside the top 12 3 times this year.
Yeah, and even when he has a not so good day, I mean, even like Nashville when he crashes, like he finds a way to come back and finish really well. So they're doing a pretty decent job at executing.
You mentioned Ohio State. Have you heard from MJ's publicist yet?
Is she not an Ohio State fan?
Oh, no, Jared.
Oh, she went to Michigan.
Yes.
Mm.
And I think quite a few of my legal team is Michigan grads as well. So
Damn it, I got to root for him.
Yeah. But that's okay. Listen, I was never even smart enough to go to college, so I just jump on the bandwagon of winners,
I want to get you an honorary degree at Ohio State. That's my goal now.
Huh?
Get you an honorary degree.
Oh, okay. Well, it seems like some of these college athletes, I mean, they just kind of get a degree, or do they even go to class?
If racing was a college sport, you would have been good.
Travis is going to have Denny give him
Well,
the commencement
I tell
speech
you,
at Ohio
that's my
State.
goal.
I'll tell you, Trav, to be factual, though, it's good to see us Ohio State guys finally beat Michigan.
It felt good.
All right, where do we want to go? with this episode. I see the topics and stuff like that, but we always kind of go all over the place.
Let's start with the beginning of the race and build to your win.
Okay. Well, the beginning of the race was, we stayed inside the top 5 for most of the first stage, all of the first stage actually. And we kind of closed in on the 17 and 24, finished third that stage. But I just felt like my car was just lacking a little bit of an overall grip. I was saying that it was a little tight, but still a little edgy. So, that's the worst thing a crew chief ever wants to hear, is that I'm both. And when I watched the broadcast back, you heard Kyle Busch talk about that. He's like, I don't know. I'm tight and loose. And I can tell you that is just something that's really, really hard for a crew chief to kind of sift through. So at that point, they're like, that's essentially the driver saying, I have no clue. Please help me. What do you see in there? And so at that time, I just didn't want to send my team down a direction that was incorrect. So you kind of lean on them to, tell me where I'm losing time. And we kind of go from there. And we just got our car got a little bit better throughout the day.
You seem to be, at least Gail seemed to be communicating more than what I perceived to be usual. Do you think that, or was it just maybe me overthinking it?
Well, I told him to communicate with me quite a bit throughout the day. I told him before I got in the car, keep an eye out. There were a few key things that I wanted him to look at during the race, and then let me know what he sees with those certain things. That way I can continue to work on it, work on my game, work on my driving to see if I can improve it and help them out. So he was communicating quite a bit about what he saw, and then those thoughts then, trigger my mind to think about, well, how can I be better in those spots? And so that was kind of the key for me.
I feel like going into this race, you were pretty confident that you were going to have a car to beat.
You said that.
Yeah, you downplay it because you texted Travis in the group chat saying you were going to hit the Ohio State celebration after you won, blah, blah, blah. And then I was
no, go back. Who said? Charlie said
Charlie
that.
originally said it.
Charlie said it. You got to hit him with the OH.
And
right?
you confirmed.
And I said, I will after I win.
Right. And then I asked
you said, oh.
I said, oh, you must be pretty confident. And you were like, well,
because usually, you guys ask, well, how's your car today, right? Have I ever said, oh, we're money. We're really, really good. Like, not often, right?
No.
Hardly at all. But there's times I'll say, if I ever say, oh, pretty good, that means we're really good. I can just tell you how to offset that when you hear it from me.
Is that you not wanting to jinx it?
It's just, I like to,
Hedge?
under promise, over deliver,
But then you also said you had one of the best Saturdays you've had.
Which told me if I'm good, if those people are out there ever watching practice or qualify, if I'm ever in the top 5 of practice or remotely close to it, we're probably going to be pretty good on Sunday. That's usually the way this goes. Because truthfully, I'm usually in the teens, and my averages are in the teens. When they put all the cars out there, things get slick, and you got to put, all the things to work. That's where I typically get better.
Why is that? Why?
Well, I think that a lot of people can drive a car fast when there's no other cars out on the racetrack, or you're not in dirty air. But once you get in dirty air, the air gets disturbed around the racetrack. Your car doesn't drive. It's not going to drive like it does Saturday to Sunday. There's half as many cars on the track. The track temperature was probably 30 degrees cooler on Saturday. So the car just has an excess amount of grip. When it gets hotter like that, you have to have more off-throttle time. Now your setup actually starts to matter, and your racecraft starts to matter. So it's two different things. There's guys that historically just practice really fast every single Saturday, and it's like, what happens on Sunday is that's like I said, anyone can be fast when they're out front. Like leading a race, everyone's going to be fast in that scenario. Can you outrun your position? If you're in 8th place, can you run 7th place times? If that's the case, you're pretty good. When you get to 5th, can you run 3rd place times? that tells me that you're destined to make your way to the front. It's when you're running 5th, running 10th place lap times that you're in trouble. And if you lose your track position, yikes.
So then what are you looking for on Saturday? Are you just trying to make your car as fast as it can be? Or are you like knowing that
I'm not going
to be in traffic?
I'm not going to come on here and give away all my secret sauce. I know that a lot of drivers listen, trying to find one thing that I say that, that maybe I should think about that. Never do that. I try not to do that. I probably overshare on this podcast more than I should anyway. But I make sure, generally speaking, I try to drive the car like I think I'm going to have to drive it on Sunday. And sometimes that is not the fastest way on Saturday.
So just because you're fast on Saturday doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be fast on Sunday.
It means very little in my world. But
for other drivers, it could mean something totally different.
Correct. That's exactly right. Some drivers are good at both. I am not as good at both.
So therefore, were you concerned at any point in this race when you qualified 3rd, lost your track position on that one restart? Were you then like, oh, now I'm in traffic and this is different?
I made a bad decision. It was kind of 50-50 at that point of the race. I believe it was the beginning of the second stage. It was beginning of second stage. I was second. We didn't wait on fuel. We were behind the 12, and I was like, I had the choice of either taking the bottom lane up front or stacking the top row and going behind Blaney. And at that point of the race, I was not 100% confident running the bottom of the racetrack with the speed that I needed to even take the lead. So I should have just stacked the top. I didn't. Took the front row bottom. I got shuffled 4 or 5 spots. I got passed in 1 and 2 by the 1 and somebody else. And then the 5 comes around and literally blows the door numbers off because he was going so much faster than I was. It sucked me around. I get up the racetrack and, we nearly wreck. And it's like, I think I fell back to like 12th, 13th at that point. I just restarted on the front row and I'm like, holy crap, I just away 12 spots on this restart. So I still wasn't panicked, but it certainly, as hard as it is to pass, it's like you look at all those spots and it's like, man, I hope I don't regret I just coughed these spots up because like it's going to take a while to get all that back.
Well, I got 2 questions. Number 1, were you mirror driving the 5?
Actually, it was quite the opposite. I did hear his radio when he was like, keep your, look out your front windshield, not your mirror. I'm actually one of the worst defenders, I think, in this series because I do look out the front too much. But the 5 just caught me by surprise. Actually, I didn't know he was there until he was all the way there. And, when you drive up, let me try to explain this from an aerodynamic standpoint. Let's see. Can y'all see my hands? You can. So when the 5s, so I just got passed by 2 cars that passed me on the bottom. So at that point, I'm running the mid to high lane of turn 1 and 2 anyway. Well, the 5 sees me getting passed, and so he's trying to predict the corner to figure out, okay, I want to pounce on him as well because I can see that he's lost momentum. Well, I'm not even paying the 5 any attention because I'm letting off. These guys are clearing me. And at that point, I'm coming off the corner, and then the 1 and somebody else, like you can see, they come off the corner a little bit higher, and it starts taking air away from my car. So at that point, I'm starting to have to check up and lift. The 5 then comes with a major run, and when he, let's see, I'm trying to do it for my YouTube watchers here. When he gets to my right rear quarter panel here, and then gets up beside me, he dumps all this air right on my right rear spoiler. Well, of course, I've got bad air now in the front and on the side, so it just makes my car just go dead straight. So I crank a bunch of wheel in it. I'm off the gas, trying to slow down, and at that point, the front tires actually start to bite because, eventually you slow down enough to where front tires grab. That's when you get dead ass sideways. So the effect was that I was getting bad air from the front, didn't even pay the 5 any mind, didn't even know he was a challenger in that corner, but he had set up the corner so well that it caught me off guard and put me in a horrible Aero situation to where I nearly took both of us out.
Now, because momentum is so key in these restarts, are there moments in that particular restart we're talking about, or any sequence where you can say you restart third, you lose 2 spots, now I'm just like, all right, I'm going to cut my losses, fall in line here instead of trying to race these guys? Because it felt like you kept losing spots because you kept racing guys and never completed a pass.
Exactly right. Michigan is one of the toughest tracks for that, where when you actually have a lot of corner speed, it can be a negative thing. Like I feel like so many times I've been caught going in the sucker hole of like, okay, I'm just going to go down here and pass this guy because I'm faster. Well, I don't clear, and then next thing you know, here comes 1, 2, 3 cars down the straightaway, and it's like, it's like if Atlanta is a 1.5 miles to super speedway hybrid, Michigan is a hybrid of Atlanta to a 1.5 miles. Like it just steadily, there's more drafting, but handling does matter. It's just a perfect, and I said this in my post race, Michigan is just wildly one of the most underrated racetracks that we go to, just simply because it fits the car's characteristics so well. There's a lot of tracks it doesn't fit well, but this one certainly is one where it puts on good racing just because of, it has so much drag in it. You see these big runs down the straightaway. So it just, it's a momentum game. And I got caught on that restart where I lost all those spots, just breaking momentum.
You nearly screwed yourself earlier in this race, leaving the pit box. You're supposed to wait on Kenneth. You didn't wait on Kenneth.
No, I didn't. I didn't listen well. So I didn't realize we were that close, and I just took for granted that when I'm taking off here, he's just gonna follow me out. Like he's gonna walk with me out of the box.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna walk with a car with the gas can.
I just thought he would. But no, I definitely would. I got to do things a little differently next time. But I waited for a beat. I'm looking in my mirror. I'm starting to see these guys leaving pit road. I'm like, I don't want to go back to 10th right now, waiting on fuel. And surely maybe we'll put in that extra gas during the green flag stop. Screw it, right? And so I went way too early. And then luckily, Dylan grabbed the can as it's coming by. Like that's such a great defensive move. You see so many of these pit crew guys, sometimes they finish their job and they'll just kind of turn around and head towards the wall. And like he's on the left front fender watching things as they go to like prepare me. Hey, if I got to stop because I got a loose wheel or something, like he's there. And when he sees the car and the can coming, like he's like the guy that's like the safeguard to catch all things.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just standing there at the left front. I don't know. As a dam.
He's kind of his job is really, especially when waiting on fuel, he's kind of another point of reference for me to when to go. Because there's 2 things. I'm looking at the fueler, I'm listening to the crew chief say when to go, and also he's giving me a hand motion. So I've got 3 points of reference. I didn't
listen to any of them.
I didn't listen to none of them. Exactly right.
Which of those guys gives you the most accurate or closest to notice when you're like actually supposed to go?
Well, for us, it's the fueler when he nods. That's the quickest thing, versus, Chris Gale seeing the nod, then keying his radio, getting it to me. Like that's milliseconds, right? It's time. So I just try to look and see, and I can see in my camera, the bubbles coming up through the vent of the can. So when I kind of see that, I'm checking out.
Yeah, I imagine in those situations where you're trying to get as much fuel as possible, the fueler probably can feel when he's just about done or ready, right? So then when you take off, he's disengaging at the same time versus...
Yeah, but if you stay in the pit box for like an extra half a second, how many cars is that? How many rows is that on a restart, right? And so that's why it's so cutthroat, and it's why essentially the 77 was 4 laps short. He just said, yeah, I know we're short. We're not going to fill it up. We hope we get a caution late, and that'll be our saving grace. They, there was no shot of winning if it goes green, but they wanted to put themselves in position to control the race up front. And if they get a caution, now being 4 laps short like they were, it was going to take, I think, multiple cautions for them to make it, not just one. But they're at that point, I don't know where they're running, but they're thinking this is our best shot.
Let's fast forward to the Bowman, Custer, Briscoe, and Suarez wreck. I mean, just a massive lick for Alex Bowman.
Whew, major. I mean, I knew it had to be a big lick because they wouldn't even let us go through this crime scene, right? Like the caution came out for us. I think I was somewhere on the backstretch, and we were stopped right after the start-finish line. So at that point, when it goes red that quickly, I'm like, oh, must have had a big one. And, I point myself out to look at the screen to see the replay, and it was like, whoa, that was a big hit.
Are you looking forward to cautions and restarts at this track, or is that just not your bread and butter?
It's usually not. I mean, I think I was pretty decent on restarts yesterday via like Racing Insights, but not really. I'd rather just string out, go green, and let the speed of my car shine.
9th on restarts.
Yeah. So considering where I was starting, that's middle of the road.
I feel like that's been a point of focus for you this year.
I've been trying to get better at them. It certainly has been a weak part of my game. It's kind of been the only place where I feel as though I can improve. Not the only. That's not true. It's part of the area in which I can improve, and so I just really been working on that. And I look at certain things to see how I can improve it.
Without giving away state secrets, like what the art of restart for just an average fan, like what makes someone good or bad?
It depends on the track, truthfully. I mean, I think that I had a different approach the second half of the race that I did the first, and it was a lot better the second half of the race because I learned from the mistakes that I made in the first half, and it just really depends on the track, truthfully. Sometimes it's advantageous to poke out a line and go 3 wide bottom. Sometimes at a track like Michigan, you could lose 10 spots in one corner doing that. Like, even though you get the run, like, do you always take it? That's just the chess game that you play at a track like Michigan.
How much of a success on a restart is dictated by what you do versus what your competitors do?
Well, that's a big part of it too, because we know some of these restarts, you've got cars that are staying out, older tires. It's how quickly you can maneuver through traffic. There are some drivers that are super elite at, pouncing right away. It usually takes me a little bit more time, but I just play to my strengths. That's my best avenue to winning week in, week out, is that, trying not to change what I'm good at. Yes, I want to improve on the things I'm not, but I'm not going to change my game. I just want to play to my strengths, and that usually leads me to a spot where I'm in contention to win by the end. The only thing, what it doesn't do is it leads to not leading a lot of laps. But if you notice, like I get better as races go on because the way I manage the race, I know what my car is capable of, and I play to that strength. And usually by the end of the day, I can usually hem up some of my weaknesses to then keep better track position. And then, being strong in the long run, hey, just put myself in the top 3 with 50 to go. I should have a great shot by then.
But back to the Bowman hit. We see you guys get out of the car, you go do the interview, you say it was bad, but what are you feeling? You guys act like it's nothing. Like, what's the pain?
Well, you certainly feel it more so the day after, the following days. Like, for instance, my wrist from Daytona, like this thing is still not right from where it was. Like, I'm so old now. It's like, will it ever be right again? Like, it just sucks to put any kind of pressure on it. So it's just, I think it's different for everyone. People recover differently. But yeah, I mean, a head-on impact like that, certainly when the next gen originally came out and it was solid as a rock, before they started cutting up the roll cage and all kinds of stuff to get the impacts a little bit softer. That could have been a way worse wreck than what it appears it resulted in.
Late in this race, Travis brought this up this morning before we jumped on the show. He was texting with Bozy, and Bozy had said that he missed the pins when he placed the tire, so he stopped and had to re-index it and then made sure it was tight before they dropped the car, which potentially may have allowed more fuel to get in, which is why you got to cross the finish line. Yeah,
I don't know. We were full. I think we only took one tank or one can. Was the blunder allowed us to get a little more fuel? I don't know that. I'll find out today. But yeah, certainly when you have a slower stop, that's more time that you're plugged in to the car. So it seemed like the 54, they seemed to be more worried about fuel than what we were. So, but you're showing here that he had like a 9-1 stop. Yeah, I mean you're lucky to get in one can at that point.
With 4 to go, when you were battling Byron, they were still telling the 54 to save.
Yeah. So I mean, and we're looking at the same fuel stuff as what they are, and more than likely what they're showing is that if I'm right on the number, he must have been getting worse fuel mileage or didn't get his car as full. I'm not sure.
When you flip the switch, how much time or how far can you go at Michigan?
Not exactly sure.
Can you make it around?
A full lap?
Yeah.
At that track, probably not. But you can go away. You could, if you took the white, your car would still be rolling at the checkered. I just don't know how fast it would be going.
Were you ever told to save once you pitted?
No, but I did anyway.
Manage.
Yeah. I mean, there were times where, like even with Byron, when I didn't have a good run or I was battling the 54 and those guys, like I still was doing things to like, if he says I'm right on the number, I'm going to try to make sure I'm good by a quarter of a lap. Like I just made sure that I didn't use fuel whenever I didn't have a run and didn't need to.
Hey, it's Dale Jr. Did you know that we've got brand new merch from our Stars, Stripes, and Beers collection available now? We've got tanks, tees, beach towels, and more just in time for summer. Check it all out at shop.dirtymomedia.com.
What's your mindset restarting with 40-something to go, the final restart? You had a bunch of cars in front of you that were obviously contenders all day, but then you had a bunch of cars who were up front for the first time all day.
Yeah, there was a mixed bag, and certainly there were some pit stops that were a lot faster than others. I didn't know where, like, Zane was at before. I didn't know where the 77 was at. All I knew is, like, the guys that the 77 was up there for most of the day. He kind of was meddling in there towards the top 5. But, like, I was looking more at where's the 24, the 45, those guys, and the 17. I thought he had really good elite speed this weekend. I was just kind of seeing where they were at relative to myself, and I just kind of blocked out everyone else.
But you got to pass everyone else.
Yeah, that's what's the difficult part about it, is that it was important for me. I think I restarted 4th on the inside. That's 9th. Typically at that point, the numbers are going to show you're going to come out about 10th, maybe 11th on a restart. I think I came out of pit road 12th, so it was just a net gain because people were stacking the top so much that it allowed me to move up 2 rows, actually. So that's just what the numbers show, but I was very fortunate not to lose any positions, and I came out 9th. Once the wash of the restart came out and we're all running single file, I'd gotten back up to the top lane. I netted 3 spots from where I came out on pit road. I didn't gain on the restart, but I didn't lose. That was the key.
Right. So you came
where
off
I was
pit road.
Where the numbers would show I'm supposed to lose in that spot.
Yeah. So at that point, your car's better than everyone else's. Do you know the fuel situation of everyone else and how they're driving?
Well, we got a little damage. My car was actually not. The last run of the day was the worst that my car was. I know it probably didn't look like it on TV, but just I was out of the gas, which may be why my fuel mileage was better. Is that I was out of the gas way more than I had been all day because I did get some right front damage and right rear damage that I thought slowed my car up a little bit.
How worried were you on pit road when you had that damage?
I was worried that that the fender got ripped apart. I mean, inside the car, everything feels more exaggerated, but I was like, damn, like we hit pretty good. So, but there was just nowhere for anyone to go. Ty's on the inside of somebody. I'm on the inside of Ty. The 8's got to leave his stall. Somebody's going to leave. Like, it's just, the pit roads are just, it's hard to believe on a 2-mile track, just not, it's too narrow.
Do you know that you're going to pass the 24 at the end? You just have the luxury of picking how you want to do it?
No, it wasn't a given. He made it difficult, but I thought that since I got there with 10, 12 to go, I thought I had enough speed to where it was going to be difficult for him to hold us off for that long. Like, surely I was going to get position on him at least once during the course of that, and it just so happened to happen with 4 to go or so.
Now, I thought these cars are super stable, and you can't really get them out of shape from behind.
Again, I'm not gonna come in here and just give you all the secret sauce, but there's ways you can manipulate the cars, even though that it certainly is better to be the front car, but there's still ways from behind you can change their car.
Because that's what you did.
I tried.
It looked
and
like
it did.
Was there any part of you that was like, I'm just going to put pressure on him, but not try to make a risky pass because I'm going to run out of fuel if I just put pressure on him?
I'd never wanted to assume he was going to run out of gas. I treated the end of that race as if he was fine on gas. And even as crew chief said, just run it all out here. You got to keep the lead. So, whether it didn't matter because we ended up, passing him, but we forced him to run out of gas anyway because of the pace. When he was in the lead and we were running fourth, he had the 5 behind him. Everything is cozy at that point because he can run half throttle. The 5 can run half throttle because he's not going to pressure him. The 54 is trying to save, but I'm the first in line that is like, screw this, I'm going all out. We forced him to use more gas than what he was budgeting.
When you started making your move, at what point did you know, okay, this is my race?
Really not until I got to the inside of him. At that point, then it's just a cat and mouse game of, trying to position yourself to complete the pass. And then also I was a little worried about the 54, if, passing both of us if we Mickey'd around a little bit too much. But I think we were only side by side for maybe a lap and a half or so before I was able to clear him. But it's just at that point kind of a timing thing to try to get the pass clear. I knew once I got inside of him, he's going to be in a tough spot.
Win number 57 and the first one after start 700.
Man, I wish it was last week, but I'll take it this week.
The most in Joe Gibbs racing history.
Yeah, it was great to break that tie with Kyle. Obviously, he had been the most successful JGR driver for quite some time. So it just
what's that mean?
Feels
to
great. It's just this is one of the top organizations in NASCAR, right? I mean, there's you got the big three: the Hendrick, Penske, and Gibbs. To be the winningest at one of those, right, is very meaningful. They gave me my opportunity, my chance when I was just a late model driver. They're the ones that took a risk and a chance on me. I didn't bring anything to the table other than my talents, and it paid off for both of us. So it just really makes you feel good, especially with a team that gave you your start.
I'm surprised that in the Prime post-race show, you didn't. They asked you if you thought you'd get to 60 this year, and you kind of like hemmed and hawed, like, it's just so hard to win races.
Yeah, it is because, I look at it as, is there 6 road courses or 5?
I know we got 3 in the next 5.
Yeah, I just look at it as someone that's very logical, right? Is that where are my opportunities to win? And for 31 of the 36 races, if we have 5, if it's 30 of 36, whatever it is, the oval tracks is where I'm going to have my best opportunity. And it doesn't matter if it's a half-mile or 2-mile racetrack. I feel really good about my chances of winning as long as I'm turning left.
You got 3, right? So then you win Kansas, you win Martinsville, you win Phoenix. There's your 6.
Easier said than done. Let's just pretend I have the fastest car at all 3 of those. By the numbers, I will win 1 of those. It's just that's the numbers. If you have the fastest car, if you can win 30% of the time, 40% of the time, that's what it normally is. So you're just to win 3 more races, I need to have the best car. Think about this, 9 times in the next 20 races. That's hard. That's hard to do.
Sure, you can look at it that way, but you can also look at it as if
and then you got to take the road courses out. So maybe I got to have the fastest car now 9 of the next 17.
Sure. But if you're going to be...
Do you understand the numbers of it, though?
I get it. But also, if the 11 team's going to be a championship threat, you're going to have to win.
Yeah, at least
3
2
more races. I mean, statistically, no. Joey Logano, got hot at the end of the year. But we've seen you in the playoffs in the final, in the round of 8. You're going to have to win one of those races. Otherwise, you're going to be barely sneaking in, right? And you don't want that. Right. And you're going to have to win a race at some other time in the playoffs, probably.
But I'm just, am I capable of getting 60 this year? 100%. But will it happen? Again, this goes back to under promise, over deliver. I'm not going to say yes.
Okay, well, that's all you got to say then.
Yeah, I mean, you don't always control your destiny. Ask every single driver out there. They'll ring you off 5 races in the last 10 where they got a shittier finish than what they deserved that day. So
he can't be as confident as AP is.
No,
he thinks you're going to get to 70 this year.
Okay.
I'm kidding. He didn't say that. Anything else for Michigan? You want to talk about some noteworthy finishers?
RFK, 3 top 10s.
Yep. Yeah, I do. I definitely like giving some of these guys, credit. Like I said, the 17 I thought was one of the strongest cars on the day. He was able to pass. He rallied back there towards the end of the race. He finished second, right? Second. So great run for RFK. 3 cars, first time in how long?
I think they said 2016.
Yeah, it's like 10 years since they'd had 3 cars finish in the top 10. All their cars were pretty strong. I didn't see Brad as much. I know he cycled up towards the front at one point of the day, but I thought the 60 and the 17 obviously the strongest. I thought the 60 was next in line on speed, but all getting a top 10 finish it's great for that team. Ty Gibbs getting a top 3 finish. I know he was very, very frustrated at the end of that race to, they didn't let him take the reins off. I've been there, trust me, where, I think multiple times this year, you go into the last fuel run, they're like, yeah, I know you want to go, but sorry, you can't. Indy last year probably had one of the fastest cars and just, sorry, can't do it. I'm not going to let you run fastest run. So
it looks like we've got a visitor.
Who is it? Does he have a crutch?
He's got 2.
We got 2 visitors here.
Hey, Ron. What's up? How's it going? Red Rocks Ron here. If you need some good food in Birkdale.
We got you a cake when we dropped the 5 on the road. So the 5 is supposed to say 57.
Can y'all hear this? He says, we got you a cake.
Supposed to say 57.
You're going to try to tell us that you didn't purposely drop the 5 off that cake, Ron?
Completely crushed on the floor of the golf cart. That says 57. That's your 57th win.
Well, it doesn't say 57.
Well, you have to imagine it says 57.
Okay, we'll imagine that. Thank you. Nate Dogg here, fresh off his trip from God knows where. Did you have a good vacation?
We had a great vacation.
Great vacation, he says. He's going to be... Nate has committed to training me for Fanatics Fest on June 20th. You probably saw this on my Instagram story. So I'm going to compete against all these other...
Like athletes.
Actually real athletes and all these skills challenges. Like it's throwing football, targets. You got to knock hockey pucks into a washer and dryer. We got a closest to the pin. I like my chances there. 3-point contest. I like my chances there. What else do they have? UFC striking challenge. I guess.
Do not. Denny claims to be a fighter. We're going to find out.
Here's the only thing. William Byron is also going to compete in this. We're going to be the only 2 NASCAR drivers to compete. I just want to beat William. I cannot let Mr. Country Club beat me in a striking contest.
Is there a Lego building competition?
There is not. What else is there? We have pitching contests like in a strike zone.
You said there were 6.
No, there's 8.
There's 8.
They take your best 6 scores.
Okay.
Ron, come on, man. All right, so there's 8 competitions. Oh, they have the one. I'm pondering my ideas on how to do this. One is a 60-second walkout, like a WWE walkout intro. So you have to, essentially, it's what we do every weekend for driver intros, but like they're going to grade you on creativity, how do the fans react and all that stuff. Your props. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to do for that. So it's going to be pretty entertaining. This is in New York City, June 20th. I have a couple goals. One is to not lose to William Byron in these competitions and not be ranked in the bottom 10 of, I think there's 50 athletes that are, current and, like it's Tom Brady, the Manning brothers, Travis Scott. I mean, the names are the names. I just don't want to embarrass myself during these competitions, but we're about to find out whether drivers are athletes or not.
Yeah. Needless to say, this is going to be very fun for me, Travis.
This is Jared's Super Bowl.
Oh, and Jared gets to go and shoot all this?
Yeah. And he's got his 2 favorite drivers there.
Who are you rooting for, Jared?
I don't know.
So I thought about this.
I'm rooting for
Ron
entertainment.
gives him the old wow.
Ron knows all about rooting for everybody.
Can I ask you a question? We're getting off the rails here. Jared, I want the listeners to hear this. Would you be willing to take a lie detector test live on air here and us ask you questions about your allegiance?
For the views, of course.
Okay. We need to think about how we're going to make that happen.
I think he would pass, though. I think honestly he's rooting for you. I truly believe that.
I mean, he's not flying on Byron's plane, I can tell you that.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
There's different motivating factors.
Yeah.
In all of this.
Larson's already got a championship too. Like I think he truly wants you to get that championship.
Okay.
I got a few questions here for
right.
some fans.
All right.
You can just answer these as quick as you want. What made this race at Michigan better than previous Michigan races?
I think it was actually the fuel mileage. There was a little bit of like mix of strategies, which allowed the guys that were good on fuel to go all out, and then you had the leaders say, we can't make it. So it was almost like a super speedway race where you didn't want to lead because you just burned more fuel, so it just mushed the pack together that final run. I think that was one of the contributing factors.
Have you talked to your dad yet after the race about I beat your favorite driver?
Yeah, still doesn't love it.
Doesn't love it.
No.
Has a baby boy been served an eviction notice yet?
Yes. Trying to get him out.
How does it feel to finally have a fuel mileage race go your way?
Oh, it has to be the first of my career. 57 wins, it's got to be the first fuel mileage win.
What's your thoughts when you
And
finally
it wasn't a fuel mileage win. I passed him before he ran out of gas.
What's your thoughts though when you finally get the lead and are you just like, wait?
At that point, I know he's going to wave the white flag on trying to pass me back because he's sweating. He's even going to make it to begin with, and he probably knows he can't. So at that point, like I take the lead, and it's like clear by 5, 10, 15, 20. And at that point, I'm like, all right, I'm coming out of the gas. Just bring it home. So it feels great.
We're going to Mexico City this weekend.
Yeah.
Are you excited for that?
I am. The track seems fun. I have, again, I won at this track 20 years ago, but it is a different track. There's a few more corners that are different than what it was back when I ran it, 20 years ago. But running it in the sim, it seems like a very good track. It's got some good passing zones. So yeah, the atmosphere was was awesome when we were there with the Xfinity series. So, yeah, looking forward to checking it out. It's a long way down there, though. Whew.
You've already been down there once. Yeah. Are you going to go out and about this year?
I kind of had a bad experience when I went out in Mexico City 20 years ago. So, stand close to the hotel on this one.
What's the plan for? I mean, it's easy to get back for Nashville or Michigan on Baby Watch. What's the cutoff here?
I don't know. We got to figure that out because I certainly cannot leave. It's one thing when you're in Michigan, you're an hour and a half, 10 flight away. There's no customs. I fly, right into the airport. Right. It's not that in Mexico. So I can't leave certainly until we have a baby. And then, I guess we're on track on Friday.
Yep.
I don't know. We got to play this one by ear.
You got to serve it.
Surely, man. Surely he's going to come out. I mean, I don't know. They say up to 2 weeks is normal. 2 weeks late.
Maybe he's just holding out for the 11th to be a Denny Hamlin baby.
Truth be known, the original name of 2311 Racing was supposed to be 611.
611.
You guys picked a better one.
LeBron James, Denny Hamlin.
Wow.
Oh Jesus.
Wow.
What is 611?
6 championships. 611. There was when they were doing renderings and all this stuff, but it, on all the gear, it was 611. 611 was our team name for a while, but I was like, let's rethink.
Yeah, it kind of had to be 611. You couldn't do it the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
023.
We're 2 days away from 611. Could it be?
Nice. Some off track.
So back to Mexico City though, the elevation.
Yeah.
What impact is that for you?
I don't know.
Do you recall 20 years ago? I guess you're young though. Now you're old.
I recall what I did the night before, and it's hard for me to remember a lot from that night, and then how I felt the next day.
Have you done any sort of training? Has any?
I have not. They gave us kind of a lot of the information in which we needed to prepare ourselves. I know that quite a few of the Toyota guys are staying out in Aspen over the last week or so, last 2 weeks, to try to get acclimated to the elevation. It just wears you out. It's no different than, basketball players that go play at the Denver Nuggets. You're mile high there. Your cardio is not as good. So I'm not. I'm winging it. There's some guys that have hyperbaric chambers and things like that they're, elevation tents and all kinds of stuff. I think I'm going to make it just fine.
Do you think that could bite you in the ass?
Maybe. Maybe not, though.
I guess what could bite you in the ass more, the elevation or your road course driving,
50-50.
You want to try to go to some off-track news here?
Sure.
At Michigan this weekend, Ram announced it officially that they are returning to the Truck Series next season.
Yeah, great to have another manufacturer. NASCAR's been telling us now for 10 years that another manufacturer was coming. So, I didn't think any of us thought it was just going to be in the Truck Series, but, hopefully Dodge has a great experience and then, thinks about their participation in the Cup Series. I think that's probably an ultimate goal of everyone's. But, I don't know how strong their car market is. What are their goals? I know that bringing back the prestige of the Dodge Ram is probably high on their list. So I thought, great to have them back in NASCAR, and hopefully they have a good enough experience where they see the investment and, is worth it. And then they step up and come back to the Cup Series.
Right. I know we've been talking about new manufacturers in NASCAR for years, but this has to be a good sign, right? For other series as well, not just the Truck Series.
Well, I think it's the best an easiest point of entry for a manufacturer, because if you remember in the truck series, they don't have to build their own engines. They all run the same engine. So whatever the body is on the vehicle, that's essentially what the manufacturer does, is just put a body on it. I think it becomes a lot easier for them to just, it's a cheaper point of entry than coming in the Cup Series where you have to develop your own engine. You've got setup software, blah, 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 blah.
And then 2311 loses the Injunction last week.
Yeah, this is just part of the, certain little battles that happen throughout the litigation. It does not have anything to do with the actual lawsuit itself. This was just essentially, we asked the judge to give us an injunction to allow us to race chartered as we go through this. He gave us the injunction based off of the facts, and then we had NASCAR appealed it, took it to the appeals panel, and they overruled that, the initial judge. So we're checking out our options now, and we're going to be racing this full year no matter what, and look forward to our day in December.
Anything else you got going on this week before leaving for
Not
Mexico?
really. I mean, well, I got a lot going on. I need, again, I've got to prepare for this Fanatics Fest. I don't want to look like a fool. Don't want to embarrass myself or my friends that helped me through this journey. Got a boy on the way. Got to prepare for Mexico. I got meetings out the ass. I mean, it's a full week.
It's a half week.
Exactly. Got to fit it all in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
Does this win at least give you a little? You feel good knowing with these road. You got a bunch of road courses coming up that, like, all right, got another one. I can, this could be a.
It is. Am I optimistic I can go out there and perform well? I do. But is it my strong suit? No. So it feels good to at least have some really strong runs leading up to these road course weeks. Yes. That part of it is very optimistic for us, and certainly makes you feel good that you're taking advantage of the races that you should be.
I got a review here from Garabel5780, who called it last week. Let's go 11 team. Another win coming soon.
Yeah, appreciate that. Man, it is good. This is kind of how we started last year. We just need to make sure we don't tail off, right? I think we won 3 of the first 11 or 12 races last year. Start off hot, and then we just lost some car speed throughout the year versus the competition. I don't think we got slower. I think maybe a little combination of both. All right. Well, appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll see you after Mexico.